Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for clicking on my video. This is just a quick rundown, a few thoughts and opinions on the Helion Invictus 10MT 1/10 scale four-wheel drive monster truck. Just going to go through why I bought it, some of the things that aren't too great about it, and some of the things that are good about it. So yeah, basically, I've only recently got into RC. I thought I'd go with the monster truck, just so I could throw it around and sort of get an idea of how everything works, etc. So I bought this about 6 months ago, and I've just belted it up. Replaced a lot of parts, but learnt a lot along the way. So yeah. So first up, one of the first thing I did was upgrade the battery. I'll just show you quickly. It came with a nickel metal hydride battery, 9.6 volt, 1800 milliamp hours, and I very quickly upgraded to a LiPo battery. This is a 3-cell 11.1 volt pack, which made a significant difference to the power output of the car. These are just charging at the moment on my 4-bank charger. So yeah, before I did that, the truck was quite underpowered. It can't be compared to any real systems, especially bigger scales, 1/8, 1/5, etc. But for what it is and for my skill levels when I purchased this, 3-cell definitely was a good upgrade. I also bought these tyres. The stock tyres, they're not great. These tyres, I put them on the back only, just for the minute, and just probably due to that different sort of tread, they get a significant more amount of grip, especially on loose sort of fine gravel, for example. Yeah, they're off at the moment because yesterday, for probably the first time, I actually submerged the Helion in some pretty deep water. And you might already be familiar with this, but it was the first for me. They filled up full of water through the hole here, where the water can go, air can normally go in and out, and consequently they filled up full of water and got significantly out of balance, and they were just going crazy at high speed. So I've been sort of squeezing the water out. I've done all sorts of things to get water out. They probably might be okay now, but that's why the stock tyres are back on it. The remote is extremely basic, but it works. I haven't had a single problem with the remote. It's a bit dirty. Well, everything's a bit dirty at the moment. I've just had it out for a run recently. Yeah, the remote, it's always worked. It hasn't skipped a beat, so no complaints there. So yeah, I mean, why I bought this particular truck was really just because I had no idea about RC. I didn't want to go out and spend a lot of money. This thing only cost me, I think from memory, it was less than $300 Australian. It's a really entry-level price. And I just wanted something just to beat up and not be too concerned if I hurt it, so I could learn the ropes. And that's what I've done. My concerns with the truck, I'll list some items just so if you're thinking about buying one yourself or something else, you can sort of look out for various different things. So you may have already noticed that the body, the posts here that hold the body on, 2 of them have just broken off. I'll just get that a little bit closer in case you can't see. Yeah, I haven't driven this thing too hard. I mean, I'm quite careful when I drive it, but ultimately when it rolls over, they cop a fair bit of abuse, and they've just snapped off. So that's kind of annoying, but they can be quite easily taken out and replaced. Probably of a more serious nature, two items worth noting. In relatively small accidents, the aluminium caps here at the top of the shock tower, which hold the entire shock together and house the oil, have just literally the cap has just popped straight off the thread. Oil's gone everywhere. Yeah, so, and that wasn't in a huge crash, so that's not too ideal. They're pretty low quality. Also, the tie rod ends here. This plastic part which then connects to a ball joint on the wheel has also, in similar small accidents, popped straight off. It's made me very aware of when I do crash to make sure I go up to the vehicle and inspect everything before taking off again, because the first couple of times that happened, I just kept driving it if it landed on its tyres, and without knowing it, the dog bone, which if you don't know much about RC yet, is basically the axle which connects the diff to the wheel. The dog bone has fallen out because the wheel has come away from the vehicle a bit when that or the tie rod was detached, and I've lost the dog bone. Now I carry spare dog bones, and as I said, I'm really careful if I crashed. I go out and check it out first, and if the dog bones come out, I'll look around on the ground and find it, hopefully. Yeah, so if you're looking at buying one of these, and I plan on doing it, I want to try and find some better quality shocks and tie rods that are a bit stronger. When I upgraded to the 3-cell LiPo battery, the rear diff stripped itself after about 3 runs. That was probably more because of the way I was driving it. I was driving it like a bit of a psycho. I was just, giving it full power, sort of at any instance, and I'm sure a few times all the torque would have just gone to one wheel at one point, and yeah, the rear diff didn't last too long. So if you're going to upgrade the battery, you need to drive it accordingly, and or have a spare diff on you, so when it eventually goes, you can just pull it all apart when you're out there and stick a new diff in, and it's not going to spoil the fun. Another thing which hasn't been ideal is the ESC. One run, the fan just came completely out of the housing. I don't know why. Maybe it rolled and it hit something, or something went in there. Anyway, I bought this replacement fan for it, and a couple of days ago it just stopped working, just for no reason. All the wires are still connected. I don't really get that. But I have to say that of all the components to get hot, the ESC doesn't really seem to. I've been running around in Melbourne temperatures recently, nothing higher than 25 degrees, but quite often less, and you can completely touch the ESC. It's slightly warm. The motor is a completely different kettle of fish. It gets extremely hot. Yeah, so the fact that the fan doesn't work at the moment isn't actually an issue, but it is a concern that the first one broke and the replacement one just stopped working. So yeah, what else? The steering servo on this is definitely something that could be upgraded straight away, especially at top speed when the tires balloon and there's a lot of centrifugal force making the wheels hard to turn. The servo on this has got it basically doesn't have enough power to turn it very well. It still turns, but you just don't really get that tight cornering at high speeds. Especially on sort of like if you're driving on grass, which obviously adds a lot of resistance to the wheels. The servo's not too great, but it hasn't broken, so that's a good thing. Another issue in terms of waterproof. I'm pretty sure on the box it said that the car was waterproof. Look, the servo, the ESC, and the motor itself, I've had no problems with. But this little box here, it used to have a lid, which I lost, to be honest. It houses the radio receiver, which I have off at the moment, for reasons I'll explain in a second. Basically, the way that this box makes the radio receiver waterproof is a lid that goes on there, and it's held down by a couple of clips. And the wires that run in and out of this box are just sandwiched between the lid and the edge of the box. I can pretty much guarantee if you submerge this or get it pretty wet, that you're going to get your radio receiver wet. So I don't even bother with that anymore. Also, I lost the lid. My workaround for that, and it's definitely a makeshift solution, but it does a trick, is I get packing tape, and I put these leads together, and basically I put the packing tape on and seal it all down along the wires, and then around the radio receiver itself, and I do a few different layers of that. And whilst if you held that in water for some time, the water would definitely get in. If you just get a few splashes on it and then just cut the tape off after it gets wet, and reapply tape in the future, it's enough to keep the water out for some time. So yeah. What else have I needed to do? Because I forgot to mention before actually, because the shock towers, this cap keeps popping off, and not just on that one, and the oil goes everywhere. I haven't actually refilled the oil on these shocks. Believe it or not, you can probably believe it if I do that. It's pretty springy. There's no way I'm going to be refilling the oil on this and stuffing around every time one of these stupid caps come off. If I was, driving this in any serious way or trying to, get around a track as fast as possible, need all that handling, then definitely that would go without saying. But this thing is just to mess around with, so the fact that it doesn't handle well because of that doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's a monster truck. These big, massive tyres, especially at top speeds when they balloon, it doesn't handle well anyway, and probably due to the relatively low quality of this vehicle and the plastic components. As you can see, there's quite a bit of play in all the suspension. So the thing was never going to handle well. The springs absorb a lot of the impact when you do a jump, so they still work. It's good enough for messing around with machine. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. For an entry-level priced machine, you can't go wrong. Plenty of power, really good to learn with, but there's a few different items on it which definitely can do with upgrading. Keep an eye on my other videos. In the near future, I will definitely be taking this out, and I'll get some footage of it driving around, and you can see it in action. So I should get that done hopefully in the next week or so. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Cheers.